Most people believe that a steady job and a full bank account mean they have achieved financial security. But the Bible does not call that security. The Bible calls that a dangerous state of dependency. You can earn a very high income and still be one phone call away from complete financial collapse. Why is this true? Because when our income rises, our human appetite usually rises right along with it. We earn more, so we consume more. We build a larger lifestyle instead of a larger wall of protection. Think of the modern office worker. He receives a promotion and immediately signs a loan for a better car. His income is higher, but his monthly obligations are far heavier. He is completely trapped by his own success. Or look at the merchant in the ancient market. He experiences one excellent season of highly profitable trading. But instead of storing the surplus, he expands his daily lifestyle to match his absolute peak revenue. When the inevitable quiet season comes, he is suddenly desperate and broken. The money is already gone. This is the modern trap of lifestyle inflation. It is a cycle where earning more actually makes you more vulnerable. The arrogant person looks at their money and asks, "How much of this harvest can I consume today?" But ancient biblical wisdom asks a completely different question. It asks, "How much of this harvest must I protect?" If you do not fundamentally change the question you ask, a larger income will never truly save you. It will only fund a much more expensive disaster when the economic winter finally arrives at your door. Thousands of years ago, a young steward named Joseph stood before the most powerful ruler on earth. He was given a terrifying vision of coming devastation, 7 years of massive abundance, followed by severe famine. His solution was not to pray for the famine to disappear. His solution was strict, unyielding discipline. He understood that surviving the winter requires aggressive preparation while the summer sun is still brightly shining. In Genesis chapter 41, verse 35, Joseph lays out the ultimate biblical blueprint for protecting your future. He said, "And let them gather all the food of those good years that are coming, and store up grain under the authority of Pharaoh, and let them keep food in the cities." Most people read this passage and think it is just an ancient story about saving extra food. But it is much deeper. Joseph was not just storing calories for the winter. He was protecting capital. In ancient times, the single most valuable asset a farmer possessed was his seed for the next planting. If you grind your seed corn to bake bread today, your family will certainly starve to death tomorrow. Joseph built a massive wall to protect the seed corn from the dangerous appetite of the good years. He knew that human nature naturally wants to consume the entire harvest the moment it leaves the field. Every dollar you are given has two potential identities. It can be bread for today or seed for tomorrow. But before we explore how to build this exact system, we must be completely clear about one thing. Before we continue, we must be absolutely clear. This video is not a secret formula to get rich quickly. Proverbs chapter 13 verse 11 warns us, "Wealth gained hastily will dwindle, but whoever gathers little by little will increase it." This is also not the prosperity gospel. God does not guarantee financial wealth in exchange for your faith. We cannot treat our devotion like a coin inserted into a vending machine to extract worldly riches. And finally, this is not specific investment advice. I cannot tell you which specific modern merchant ships to fund. What we are exploring is the ancient, unyielding principle of biblical stewardship. Stewardship is the profound realization that you do not actually own a single fraction of your income. Like Joseph in Egypt, you are merely a steward. You are a temporary manager of the master's resources. But the modern world completely rejects this truth. We believe whatever we earn is fully ours to consume. Look at a highly paid modern physician. Her income is enormous, but her luxurious lifestyle consumes every single penny. Or look at the skilled ancient baker. He sells all his bread daily, but saves absolutely no flour for himself. Both of them have fallen into the exact same trap. They mistook a high cash flow for true financial security. They have built a massive, heavy lifestyle, but balanced it entirely on the single fragile pillar of next month's paycheck. When the inevitable economic winter arrives, that single pillar will snap under the heavy weight of their own appetite. So I must ask you a hard question. If your primary income permanently stopped today, how long could you survive? Most of us cannot answer that question with peace. We usually answer it with pure panic. We look at our expensive cars, our large homes, and our endless list of premium monthly subscriptions. Consider the modern independent contractor. He lands a massive client and immediately increases his daily standard of living. The foolish ancient merchant did the exact same thing. He traded a good season for temporary luxury. They both built a wide, beautiful canopy of green leaves, but they grew absolutely no deep roots. When the severe drought comes, the tree with shallow roots falls first, no matter how beautiful it looked. This is why Solomon gives us a powerful warning about building a system of preservation. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 6 commands us, "Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider her ways, and be wise." Without having any chief or ruler, she prepares her bread in summer and gathers her food in harvest. The ant does not consume everything today. She builds a strict wall of preservation for the coming winter. Joseph applied this exact same wisdom on a massive, national scale during his time in Egypt. He separated the harvest. He drew a strict, unyielding line between what to eat and what to keep. If you want to survive the modern economic winter, you must adopt this ancient, uncompromising discipline. You must learn to divide your incoming financial harvest into 7 distinct biblical portions of absolute preservation. This is the ultimate biblical blueprint. It is the only way to protect your seed corn forever. The first portion you must establish is the portion of recognition. You cannot protect what you cannot identify. You must learn to look at your financial harvest and distinctly recognize what is seed and what is bread. The Apostle Paul writes in 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 10 about the provision of God. "Now he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will also supply and increase your store." Notice the profound distinction. God provides both, but he gives them completely different identities and entirely different purposes. Bread is meant to be consumed today for your survival. Seed is meant to be planted for your future. Consider the ancient carpenter. If he burns all his premium cedar wood for tonight's fire, he has nothing for tomorrow. Look at the skilled tailor. If he cuts his finest silk to make his own daily clothes, his business dies. Or the modern video creator. If he spends all his revenue on immediate entertainment, he cannot afford to upgrade his essential tools. They must all recognize that a specific percentage of their income is strictly not theirs to consume. It belongs to the future. The seed corn must be distinctly separated from the dining table. It must be locked away before the meal begins. But I want to offer a serious warning here. Never store your seed in the exact same jar as your bread. When you mix them together in one account, human nature will always eat the seed because today's hunger feels urgent. So here is your absolute rule. Look at your total income this very month and purposefully divide it into 2 categories. Label exactly what is for immediate consumption and what is for planting. Do not let them touch each other. The second step in this biblical blueprint is the portion of separation. Mental recognition is not enough. You can know exactly which coins are seed corn, but if they stay in your pocket, you will spend them. Proverbs chapter 3 verse 9 commands us, "Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops." In the ancient world, a faithful shepherd did not wait until the end of the year to offer his best. The very first lamb of the flock, the very first cut of the harvest, was instantly separated and protected. This is the principle of first fruits. It is the immediate, physical removal of capital before consumption can even begin. Look at the wise ancient winemaker. He fills his reserve jars with the very first press before tasting a drop. Or consider the modern architect. The moment a client pays him, he immediately locks 20% into an untouchable account. They do not trust their own future willpower. They trust the strict boundary they build on the first day. So I must offer a severe warning. Never, ever wait until the end of the month to save what remains. If you wait to see what remains after your lifestyle has been fed, you will always find an empty field. Human appetite is exactly like a gas. It will automatically expand to fill whatever financial space you give it. Therefore, your action rule is this. The moment your harvest arrives, you must aggressively separate your seed corn. Force it into a separate vault. Make it difficult to access. Build a wall between your money and your desires. Do not negotiate with your appetite. Remove the seed first, and you will never eat it. The third critical step in this biblical blueprint is the portion of restraint. You must learn to say no. Because separating your seed corn means absolutely nothing if you simply unlock the vault and consume it later. Proverbs chapter 21 verse 20 gives us a perfectly clear contrast regarding how we handle our financial resources. It tells us, "In the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil, but a foolish man devours all he has. The fool consumes his entire harvest the moment it arrives." The foolish man believes that the sole purpose of an abundant harvest is to fund an abundant lifestyle. Consider the ancient blacksmith. He receives a massive order for tools, but immediately spends the profit on luxury wine. Or the modern software engineer. He receives a large year-end bonus and immediately finances a luxury sports car. Both of these men lacked the crucial portion of restraint. They allowed their lifestyle to inflate with their income. True biblical restraint acts exactly like a heavy, unyielding stone dam built across a rapidly rising river. It intentionally blocks the rising water of your income from indiscriminately flooding into the valley of your consumption. So here is a very severe warning. Never automatically upgrade your lifestyle just because you receive a raise. The arrogant person uses new income to look wealthy. The wise person uses new income to build a fortress. Therefore, your action rule is this: set a strict, permanent cap on your standard of living today. Let every single extra dollar flow directly into your protected vault. Starve your ego to feed your future. The fourth critical step in this biblical blueprint is the portion of protection. You must defend your borders. You can diligently separate your seed and restrict your lifestyle, but an invisible enemy can still consume it. Proverbs chapter 22 verse 7 delivers a brutal truth. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. When you carry debt, your future harvest is legally bound to another master. You are farming a field you no longer control. Debt is the act of eating tomorrow's seed corn today, promising to replace it with a harvest that has not even grown. Look at the ancient landowner. He borrows heavily against his own fertile fields just to buy more luxurious livestock. When the drought hits, the lender arrives. He does not take the livestock. He legally confiscates the man's precious seed corn. Consider the modern restaurant owner. He experiences one good season and immediately takes out a massive loan to open a second location. When the economy slows down, the heavy monthly loan payments entirely consume the core operating capital of his original business. Both men built a beautiful wall of separation, but they intentionally left the back gate wide open for the lender to walk through. Any unmanaged debt is a massive, gaping hole in the protective wall of your financial vault. It slowly drains your reserves. So I must offer a profound warning. Never use the prosperity of the good years to acquire more financial liabilities. You must view debt as a lethal emergency. A wise steward cannot rest while his master's resources are legally claimed by others. Therefore, your action rule is this: allocate a dedicated, aggressive portion of your harvest to completely eliminate your debts. You must attack your debt with absolute ruthlessness, protect the vault, and close the gate forever. The fifth critical step in this biblical blueprint is the portion of patience. You must let time work. The absolute greatest enemy of financial growth is our constant human need to see immediate, visible results. James chapter 5 verse 7 instructs us to observe the patience of the agricultural world. See how the farmer waits for the land to yield its valuable crop, patiently waiting for the autumn and spring rains. The wise ancient farmer understands that the harvest cannot be rushed. It requires seasons, storms, and absolute stillness. He does not plant a precious seed in the ground on Monday and dig it up on Friday to see if it has grown. Consider the ancient orchard planter. He places a tiny olive sapling into the earth, fully knowing it will take years to yield oil. He does not constantly uproot the tree to move it to a better field. He patiently leaves it alone. Look at the modern value investor. He allocates his protected capital into secure, long-term assets and steps away. He refuses to look at the daily panic of the market. He trusts the slow, invisible math of compounding time. Both of these men know that interrupting the process destroys the profit. True wealth requires the absolute ingredient of time. Every time you prematurely touch your long-term reserves, you are tearing the fragile new roots right out of the soil. You kill the compounding growth before it can multiply. You trade future abundance for temporary emotional comfort. So I must offer a strict warning. Never disrupt your protected seed corn simply because you feel bored or anxious. Therefore, your action rule is this: plant the seed securely, build the wall, and walk away entirely. The sixth portion in this ancient blueprint is the portion of legacy. You must look beyond your lifespan. If you only preserve enough seed corn for your own personal winter, you have failed the test of stewardship. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 22 states, "A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children." True wealth is multi-generational. It is a protective fortress built to securely shelter those you will never meet. The fool leaves his children a mountain of debt and liabilities. The wise steward leaves them productive, untethered capital. Consider the ancient patriarch. In his final years, he spends his energy planting a sprawling olive grove. He fully knows he will not live long enough to harvest its oil, but he plants it for his grandson. Or look at the wise modern mother. Instead of buying her teenager a luxury car, she quietly acquires secure assets. She completely sacrifices the temporary praise of today to guarantee their absolute financial freedom decades in the future. Both of them understand that their seed corn has a much higher purpose than simply funding their own retirement. If you consume all your capital, you literally force your children to start their financial journey from absolute zero. You pass down the incredibly heavy burden of basic survival, rather than the profound freedom of a head start. So I must offer a very blunt warning. Do not eat the seed that rightfully belongs to your grandchildren. Your action rule is this: legally and physically designate a portion of your harvest that you are permanently forbidden to spend. Build a strong wall around it and faithfully pass the key to the next generation. The seventh and final step in this biblical blueprint is the portion of generosity. You must open your hand. If you successfully build the first 6 portions but fail here, your wealth will eventually become your prison. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 24 reveals a profound mystery. One person gives freely, yet gains even more. Another withholds unduly, but comes to poverty. It defies worldly mathematics, but it is a spiritual law. When you give freely, you actively break the psychological power that money tries to hold over your life. Consider the ancient field owner. By biblical instruction, he intentionally leaves the edges of his harvest completely ungathered. He allows the poor and the traveler to glean from his borders. He refuses to extract every last grain. Or look at the modern bakery owner. She structurally designates 10% of her daily production for the hungry. She does not wait to see if she has leftovers. She bakes generosity directly into her daily business model. Both of them understand that opening their hand does not threaten their security. It actually actively protects their soul. So I must offer a final warning. If you clutch your wealth too tightly out of deep fear, the intense pressure of your own greed will crush the seed, and the wealth will slip right through your fingers. Hoarding is not preservation. Hoarding is a dangerous spiritual disease that rots the seed corn before it can ever be planted. Therefore, your final action rule is this: purposefully give a portion away to remind yourself that you own absolutely nothing. You are only a temporary steward. Open your hand, and the Master will entrust you with an even greater harvest. We have built the 7 portions, but a protective system is only truly proven when the sky turns dark. The 7 years of severe economic famine will inevitably arrive to violently test your 7 years of plenty. A crisis does not actually create weakness. It simply exposes the structural weakness that was already there. If you consumed everything, the winter storm will destroy you, but if you built the vault, it cannot break the stone. Inside the fortified walls, the seed corn remains perfectly safe, completely oblivious to the chaos happening in the outside world. This intentional, disciplined space between your incoming harvest and your daily consumption has a specific name. It is called margin. Margin is the sacred, highly protected space between your actual income and your human ego. It is the permanent gap between what you could afford to spend to look wealthy and what you actually spend. Without margin, you are completely fragile. A single missed harvest, A single unexpected bill becomes a terrifying catastrophe. When you live exactly at the edge of your income, you are walking barefoot through a frozen winter. But when you have built a strict wall of margin, the exact same crisis becomes a minor inconvenience. Margin buys you the one asset that no luxury item can ever provide: absolute peace of mind. Proverbs chapter 3 verse 24 promises, "When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet." A wise steward sleeps soundly during the severe economic storm because he knows the granary doors are locked tight. He sleeps in perfect peace because he refused to eat the seed corn when the sun was shining. The world looks at a new financial harvest and desperately asks, "How much of this can I consume today?" But ancient biblical wisdom asks a completely different question: how much of this must I protect for tomorrow? Do not let the temporary illusion of a good economy blind you to the absolute certainty of winter. Gather the grain, protect the seed. If this ancient wisdom brought you value, consider subscribing for more biblical stewardship. Do not eat your seed corn. The harvest of tomorrow entirely depends on it. This video is a reflection on biblical principles for general encouragement only. It is not financial, legal, or tax advice, and it does not promise any financial outcome. Please consult a licensed professional for your own situation and study the scriptures for yourself.